Hey guys, welcome back to Techno Hack. This is Parikshit here, back again with another video. And in this video now we are going to learn about the LFI, which is nothing but the local file inclusion vulnerability. So this is also the another vulnerability and the continuation of our web application vulnerability series. Alright, so this is going to be another interesting topic where we will learn about this new vulnerability. As we know, in the last video we have learned about the CORS vulnerability, which is nothing but the cross origin resource sharing. We learned what it is, how to find and exploit it, and how to prevent it. So the same way now we're going to learn about the LFI. And if you have not seen my previous videos and other vulnerabilities, then please make sure to check that out as well. I will put the link in the description. So before moving further, if you're new to the channel and this video, make sure to hit the subscribe, hit the bell icon so that you will not miss the next videos that I'm going to upload. Because if you're interested into hacking and web application penetration testing, this channel will be helpful for you guys to learn all this kind of stuff over here just at one place. And this is nothing but the Techno Web Hack. Alright, so let's get started without making any delay. Alright, so let's understand what is local file inclusion vulnerability, or what is LFI. So as the name suggests, in the name here itself you can identify how or what this vulnerability could be. So as the name suggests, local file inclusion, it means that the server includes the local file from the servers. Alright, so for example, whatever the files that are there into the server, let's say it could be any file, like let's say contact.php or any file that is there in the server. So sometime what will happen is the web application will include this kind of file and it will directly give it to your, or directly it will display the content of this particular file into your web application or into your web page, right? So sometime we will see in the URL like page question mark or question mark page is equal to contact.php or something like that, right? So what is it doing is like it is taking the content of this contact.php page from your web server and it is displaying it to your web browser, right? So this is exactly the vulnerability here. So here in this, how an attacker can take advantage of this vulnerability is he can replace this file with some other sensitive file, right? So suppose if any web application is taking a content of any normal file and it is displaying the content of this file into your web application, what an attacker can do is like he can replace this normal file with any sensitive file and he can try to fetch the content of this sensitive file on the web page. Suppose a web application is using a Linux operating system. In this case you can see that some etc passwd or etc shadow kind of file are a very sensitive file that contain a password related information of a particular users, right? So what attacker can do is like he can instead of any contact.php, he can replace a file with this sensitive file and he can try to fetch the content of this file on the web page. So this is exactly the vulnerability. This vulnerability allow an attacker to replace any sensitive file with this normal file. It allow an attacker to read or sometime even execute this file on the server. Okay, alright, now let's understand this by taking another example like how LFI works exactly. So let's understand it by using this example where you can see we have taken this particular URL from the BWAP lab, where you can see language is pointing to a language english.php page, or you can see that this particular page or this file is php.php file is taken from the server, right? We can clearly see that. And here exactly we can then try, or even any attacker can try to replace this particular file with any other sensitive file, right? So he can try to either replace it with the etc passwd and he can try to fetch the content of this particular file, right? So this is what will happen particularly in the local file inclusion, right? So there is also another thing called as a directory traversal. So in the directory traversal also, like this is also a vulnerability, and here also it happens, it works the same way, but the only difference in between the local file inclusion and directory traversal is here in local file inclusion you can execute this file on the web page or in the from the web server, right? But in directory traversal, you are just able to traverse the directory, means you are just like moving from one directory to another directory, or you are trying to just, you can only read or you can only see the content of a particular file or any directory, right? So this is the only difference in between these two vulnerability, but these are pretty much similar. Only difference is like in LFI you can execute it, or whatever the content that you are trying to access from a particular file, it will execute in the server. Okay, so this is the only difference in between these two of them. Alright, so let's now move further and let's understand how an attacker can take advantage of this LFI vulnerability to do the command injection. Alright, so in the latter videos we are already going to see about what is exactly the command injection, and even we will also see what is directory traversals, and we will take some example from there. Alright, but for this video let's just understand in a command injection what happens, guys. An attacker can execute arbitrary command, operating system commands on the web page itself. So from the front end level itself he can execute some command, and that's exactly nothing but your command injection. Alright, so here what attacker can do in this case, now if you can see in the example, which is nothing but the page is equal to expect : and he can then try to execute any command over there, right? So let's say, suppose if he's trying to access or he want to see what are the files are there, he can do like ls, or he can even do other sensitive commands as well. So sometime what happens is like an web application, it allows the attacker or any user to make a request to this kind of command by using this wrappers, right? So they call it as a PHP wrappers, right? Where expect is the one thing where after the expect you just put : and after that you just give any command and it will execute the particular command over there, right? So there are some other wrappers are there, some other PHP wrappers which we can use, like PHP : filter base64 encode, and then we try to execute any file, right? So this is also one of the wrapper which you can use. And the another wrapper, PHP wrapper, which you can use is like a filter resources, and after that you can try to give any file name, right? Which then will particularly execute, or it will display the content of this particular file on your web page itself. Okay, so these are some PHP wrappers which you can use as a payload, okay, into your particular injection point. Alright, so we will see practically what are this injection point, where exactly we try to execute this kind of payload, and how we try to access the content of the file on the web page itself in our practical session. Alright guys, so I hope you understood the concept of what is exactly the local file inclusion, or what is exactly the directory traversal also. Alright, we are also going to see the directory traversal vulnerability in detail in our later videos. So for this video, I hope you understood the concept of local file inclusion, and in next video we'll see how to find and how to exploit these kind of vulnerabilities. Alright guys, so I will meet you in the next video. So if you like this video, please make sure to hit the like button and make sure to hit the subscribe and hit the bell icon, so that you will not miss the next videos that I'm going to upload. Alright, so thanks for watching this video. Have a great day and bye bye.